This is the Seattle Podcasters Podcast. I'm your host, Jason Rigdon. On this episode, we have the guys from Blood and Guts Podcast. How are you today?
Good, thanks.
Doing well. Thanks for having us on.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, thank you so much for coming on. So could you tell me a little bit about your podcast?
Well, it's a podcast about food culture, and our feelings is what we like to say. We're long friends. We met in the industry cooking together and have always just kind of had what we thought was kind of a humorous relationship where we would sit and talk shit about the industry in bars, and for a while just kind of commented on like, man, people should kind of pay us to hear it, because we kind of get the whole bar going sometimes at the twilight or something like that.
Right.
Everybody'd be kind of involved in the conversation, and then podcasting kind of came along, and we're both into it. I mean, I'm an avid listener myself, and then we kind of just decided to go for it as a thing to do, and just, you know, it started as fun, but a way to outreach to the culinary community too.
Right.
And
that, and like a large part of it too was like, it was almost kind of like a therapy session for us in a lot of ways, you know, especially in our first about 6-8 months or so, was a lot of just cathartic storytelling, talking about the industry, talking about where we were personally and professionally in the industry, and it's kind of grown from that. You know, now we're talking to entrepreneurs, and we're interviewing chefs, and we're just trying to get like a bigger reach with people, and getting to understand like what it takes to own your own business, and what it's like to be a chef too.
And how long have you been doing this show?
A little over a year. Yeah, we came up on a year beginning of February. So yeah, we've been.
And how many episodes have you released?
A little over 50. Like, we've had one episode every week. So.
Oh wow, okay, that's quite a lot.
Yeah. Like one thing about the culinary industry will teach you is hard work, and you know, we just decided to do it, and we were like, okay, we're going to do it once a week, and we just went for it.
Yeah.
You know?
From a growing perspective too, we figured, I mean, the beginning, it was, I'm sure, pretty bad as far as us learning how to do it, as far as quality of audio and all that. And we just figured that practice makes perfect, and in the internet, content is king. So, you know, the more we could kind of put out and get used to it and practice, it would kind of just be the better. And that if you kind of fall out of the rhythm in it, that's how these things kind of die. It's like going to the gym. You get out of the habit, you don't go once, and then you don't go twice, and then before you know it, you're not going anymore.
Right. You start making excuses. You know, things get in the way, you know.
So what motivated you to start a podcast? I mean, you might be able to do this with a YouTube channel or maybe a blog, but what was special about podcasting?
I think just a point of entry, really. It was just kind of like, it's so easy to do. And it was a way for us to connect too. I think a large part because when we first started the podcast, we weren't working together.
Yeah.
Right. And so we were, that's how me and Kalen met. We worked at Rovers together. We both kind of came up through the lines that way. And we kind of, I wouldn't say lost touch, but it was, in a lot of ways, it was just for us to kind of get together and talk, you know? And we were just like, well, why don't we just record it?
Yeah.
You know,
and it's a lot easier to do. I mean, it's hard enough to learn how to be audio engineers, learning how to edit video at the same time and come up with quality video content and audio content for something like a YouTube channel. It's just, I don't have that kind of time to go through that kind of learning curve right now. So maybe in the future, but
yeah, I mean, we're both attractive men. And so you know, we probably should utilize those avenues for sure. I've been trying to get Kalen to do a little bit more video with me. We've tried it a little bit. It's usually like we'll just set up the podcast, we'll start talking, and then we'll hook up like one of our phones to record it. And you know, that's cool, but like we don't have the technical know-how to set up like an audio into the video, into, you know, doing that sort of thing, or we just don't have the time to kind of figure it out. And so the audio version is just kind of easier for us.
And had you done any podcasts before this one?
No, never.
Yeah. No, listened to a bunch, but no, never did it.
Yeah.
So what would you say were the biggest challenges of doing this show?
getting audio quality right.
Yeah.
For one, like
Right.
learning how to, like, we definitely made foibles where you're talking about recording problems
Oh,
and just
God.
poor audio and
Right. Or backups.
backup
And like not having our
noises.
things backed up. That, you know, like I think like every landmine you could probably step onto, like as a podcaster, we've done. You know, we had an interview with one of our old chef mentors, Adam,
Yeah.
and the audio cut out on our video, cut out on our cut out on what we were recording on, and it's just gone. You know, and it kind of sucks because like we wanna redo it, but it's kind of like you have that magic conversation with someone. You know, it's kind of weird to kind of like have to redo it. You know.
Yeah, it'll feel fake no matter what you do, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, it's definitely, it's still a learning process.
Right.
Yeah, we were talking about pop filters today,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
how I had a friend that's actually is an audio engineer, was listening to the podcast, and he was like, "Hey, I think pop filters would go a long way for your guys' audio quality." And I was like, "Oh,
Right.
cool." So it's just all these little things of what it is. I mean,
Right.
people go to school for this stuff, so it's kind of like, it's one thing to just get a recording out there. It's another thing. And being cooks, we're also both kind of perfectionists in a
Right.
way, and
Right.
like to do it right. So yeah, it's been fun.
Mhm.
So what have been some of the biggest rewards of doing this show? Are you doing any kind of like Patreon or ads or donations?
I guess we should.
We're getting to the point where we need to start talking about it. I mean,
Right.
initially it was just getting in the habit of doing it, getting an actual show that mattered, and figuring it out, and getting an audience behind us that could demand some sort of advertising or something
Right.
like that. And
Mhm.
we're starting to build that kind of audience. So, I mean, we should probably start thinking about it. But
Yeah.
we just wanted to come at it. Obviously, you got to kind of have a following before you really get any money.
Yeah.
For anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, like the whole monetizing thing. I mean, like honestly, like I wanted to kind of build enough work for people to kind of like get behind, as opposed to just doing like 2 or 3 episodes and trying to sell it that way. Yeah.
And it's just been about doing it for fun too. And
Yeah,
I know. I'm sure we all know Tim Ferriss's, but he had a good podcast where he was talking about people building it up, and he was like, if you're building one of these things for money, then you're probably not going to make it.
Right.
Like, you should be building it at this point because you enjoy it. And the truth is, we enjoy talking to each other. We enjoy talking to chefs. We enjoy the conversations we have with entrepreneurs and other people. And we kind of just like doing it for fun. So, I mean, my philosophy is we'll keep doing it for that. And when it's right, the money will come, and that'll be great. That'll be icing on. I mean, I'm not going to turn it down.
Right.
Certainly not against it, but but no, I'm happy doing it just for a hobby too. In the meantime,
yeah, we don't do this to make a living doing. We both have full-time jobs and express ourselves in other avenues.
Yeah. That being said, we have made some cool connections doing it, and met some cool people and gotten opportunities out of it. So
exactly,
I'm doing Hemp Fest this year because of it. So yeah. There you go.
So it has helped you a little bit professionally.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know. For me, I'm not really cooking right now. Like, I've kind of gone more of the fitness route. I'm a CrossFit coach right now, and I don't know. I think that a lot of by doing the podcasts and talking to Kalen and talking to other chefs, we've been able to smooth out ideas. We did a pop-up Midnight Chicken that was very successful, and professionally speaking, we utilized the podcast as kind of a vehicle for advertising, but also as kind of like, this is what we're thinking, this is our motivations, this is what we want to do. And we utilize that and that passion to be able to do these pop-ups, and people that listen to the podcasts were able to tell their friends, and we were able to sell out all our pop-ups when we were doing it. So I guess in a way we utilized it to advertise and to do that sort of thing.
Now we're going to move into the kind of more technical part. So where do you host your files?
We're on Libsyn.
Yeah.
And how have you liked them so far?
No complaints. I mean, I don't know. Like I said, this is the first one, and we don't really have anything to compare it to. So I don't know. Perhaps there is a better system. They obviously seem to be the biggest one. But yeah, they meet our needs.
Yeah. I mean, like, we were able to cheaply utilize their services and download about 4 episodes a month, and each episode's about an hour long, and that fits what we need from it. And it also branches out to other platforms like iTunes and Facebook and Twitter and all that stuff. So it's nice in that, like, we can just download it, write the copy for it, and then put it out there, and then it goes to all the other major distributions platforms.
And what microphones do you use?
Honestly, I'm not entirely sure of the brand. They were ones that we bought on Amazon. I can tell you that much.
Well, what's that saying there? Behringer?
Yeah,
Behringer. That, I bet you.
Well, it just shows like some people get like very obsessed with their audio hardware, trying to get the perfect microphone. It just shows you don't need.
No.
There's no perfect microphone for one, but also it doesn't. Your content is what matters.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, like the audio would be. I mean, if we could get it crystal clear, super professional, that'd be awesome. But for the $69.99 for 3 microphones and a platform and all that stuff, like it fits our needs.
And how do you record your episodes? Do you ever do it remotely, or is it always face to face?
We haven't done anything remotely. This is actually our first remote one as far as interviewing someone over Skype. We always do face-to-face. So one thing about our setup is I put a lot of time into trying to get a small setup that was easily transportable.
Right.
So everything just plugs into a laptop. We have a small USB dual preamp mixer that goes into a laptop, and then mics and a mic stand. So really, and it doesn't even need to go into a laptop. It could go into a phone or a tablet as well. So just some sort of recorder.
Right.
So we can go kind of anywhere.
Yeah, we wanted to be real lean and mean. First of all, because the people that we want to talk to like have very limited time and very specific times that we can talk to them. Because a lot of chefs that we talk to like can really only make time like either like an hour before service or an hour after service sort of a thing. So we really want to be able to like that. That's how we've been able to appeal to a lot of chefs in the areas by just go, hey, we can bring everything to you. We'll just sit. All we need is half an hour or 15 minutes to set up. We'll plug everything in. You just sit down. We'll bullshit for an hour, and then we'll be out in another half an hour. And it takes another half an hour to break everything down and get out of there. And so that seems to fit a lot of the people that we talk to's needs too.
How is it taking that equipment and going to different environments? Some of us are recording the same room every single time. Sounds like during these interviews, you could be who knows where.
Right. Oh, yeah. I kind of like it, actually. I kind of like sitting in different restaurants and figuring it out. I've learned to bring like a really long power strip and an extension cord and, make sure everything's fully battery operated and really like we do like 4 different recordings. We do one through a webcam, one through our phone, another on a tablet, and another through the audio adapter thing. So we're never short on backups. Yeah.
That's good. And what do you use to edit your audio with?
We don't. Just one shot. I mean, we could. We do have audio programs. I think it's like Wave or something like that.
Waves, audio file. There's some
WavePad. Yeah.
I've done some basic edits where if there's just some major thing or some big stumble or we need to cut something out. But as far as just editing content or anything like that, we don't edit. Everything's live.
Yeah.
Everything's live to tape, and then unless
unless someone says something that's like, no, we haven't had anyone say anything offensive or anything like that. But I mean, like if someone like says, "Oh shoot, I shouldn't have talked about the restaurant I'm opening up like in 2 weeks or whatever," something like that, then we'll go through and take it out, sort of a thing. But most people are pretty comfortable with just a conversation that we have.
We really try not to just go live to tape on content. And then, if someone's really like, we've had once or twice where someone's like, oh, that's actually kind of sensitive information, maybe bleep that out. But other than that, like, just because, we don't want to be like in your face journalist. Well, screw you. You know, we want to have like relationships with
You
these
fucking
people.
said it, bro.
Yeah,
Come on
exactly.
now.
But usually any editing has just been like any more technical errors or anything
Yeah.
like that, or if there's a big sound foible or someone drops a plate in the background or something like that, you want to cut it out.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and plus I think that it just keeps, I think the Blood Guts podcast kind of thrives on just being raw like that, you know, and it's actually forced us to be better at talking with everyone, and keeping the conversation going, so we don't have like long pauses or anything like that.
So are you recording it as an MP3 or using some other program to convert it into an MP3?
Nope, just straight up.
Yeah, usually
Yeah.
I've always converted it to MP3 and
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we record into WAV and then
Right.
and then
Right.
you convert it to MP3 and then we upload it.
Right.
But that's just how it started
Yeah,
out. I didn't really start it with any kind of, I know when I started doing it, it didn't start from any point of like expertise. It was just a point of like, well,
it recorded. Awesome.
Exactly. This seems to be how this works. And okay, well, it's not uploading. Well, what do I have to do? Oh, I have to convert it and compress it. Because we definitely compress. Yeah, we definitely compress into MP3. But yeah, we record into a much larger format.
Right.
And how do you prepare for your shows?
You know, like a lot of it's just, I read up on people too, you know, like especially when we do interviews with people, try to read up on them, make sure that like I'm being current. And then with just when it's just me and Kalen and sometimes Emma, however, we just kind of drink a couple beers and kind of go, okay, well, what do you want to talk about? Oh, we had this really interesting article on Eater. Let's talk about sexism in the workplace. And like, all right, let's go. And that's how we do it. And then the conversations tend to, you know, they morph. It's not like, you know, it's not like me asking questions, like question after question. It's more of a free flowing conversation amongst people.
And how do you get your guests?
You just contact them. Instagram's amazing. You know, it's just like you just DM. A lot of people DM a lot of people you know or we've worked with. So a lot of chefs that we've had, we've either worked for or worked around. And we've maintained those type of relationships. And a lot of, you know, you just Google search someone's email, you know, just email them and, you know, just say, hey, you know, like we think you're really interesting. Like we love what you're doing. And then go from there. And then, you know, sometimes we get kind of gummed up on with the PR people. It's kind of funny because like I'd never really thought of us or of myself as like a media source, you know, but like I guess we are. So like we kind of have to, yeah. So it's kind of, so we're learning that too, like how to navigate people's barriers of entry, you know. And so that's been kind of fun. Like we've been coming across that a little bit more and more as we've been expanding our content and talking to bigger and bigger chefs.
And do you have any advice for folks doing interviews?
Yeah, just make sure that when you're talking to someone, to allow them to talk and allow them to explain themselves, you know. And you can kind of feel like when someone just kind of has a short answer for something and then move on. But for most people, they want to talk about it, you know. And we do a lot of open-ended questions, like, you know, so where are you from? Where do you find your passion? You know, stuff like that. And you find that most people they'll get going, and then it just starts snowballing, and you're just there for the ride, you know. And it's a lot of it's just like people just talking about like themselves, and I find that incredibly interesting.
Yeah, just actively listening.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you have any advice for brand new podcasters, or maybe just thinking about getting into it?
Just do it.
Just do it.
Just do it. Just spend $200. You know, I'm sure most people that are getting into podcasting, I'm sure you have a laptop. You know, just buy the equipment. It's not that expensive. Just figure it out.
Honestly, we did it off a tablet for like 5 months.
Yeah.
We didn't even have a laptop. We just did it off an iPad with a microphone.
Yeah.
So like a USB attachment. So I mean, yeah, just do it and do it consistently. Like I said,
consistently. Yeah.
I think that's the big thing, is just really keep doing it, because a lot of people a lot of podcasts just stop because they stop.
Right.
I mean, there's no reason. This is free for us right now. We already bought the stuff, so we might as well keep doing it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And then like we kind of like each other too, so go from there. Sometimes. But yeah, that's another thing is like just talk about things that make it a subject that you're interested in. So I mean, like if we were to talk about, I don't know, why is I don't know, like something that like I don't know a lot about,
the fashion industry
or something like that, or like bitching about millennials or whatever, or video games. You need to have something that you have a baseline of understanding with and a little bit of a passion for.
And how much time do you think you spend promoting your show?
Usually when I drop an episode, we'll record it and then either the next day or whatever, it'll go into a queue of episodes to put up. And then once a week, I'll get on I'll put it up, link it to Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and all that stuff. I usually try to make a really clever cover picture for the podcast, and usually based on like what we were talking about, and then something kind of in your face a little bit so people kind of take notice of it, and then I get on Twitter a little bit and I try to interact with people that like that's how I discovered your this podcast, was because you're Seattle based and you were advertising about other Seattle podcasts. And so I was like, oh, like I'll jump in on that and I'll put some effort into, talking about like what our experiences were. And then I started listening to your podcast. Oh, that's kind of cool. Let's do that, And then when you put the call out, I was like, yeah. And so really, it's really organic. I mean, like we don't really go out there to try to make a name for ourselves. But, if there's something interesting, we'll put something out there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Have you? Oh, sorry.
No. Go
ahead.
Yeah, no, I'm just agreeing that seems to be most of it. To be honest, Dave does most of the promoting. Yeah. I do a lot of
sitting.
No,
experiencing.
I do a lot of work. Some of us are still full time in the restaurant industry here. They don't have cushy CrossFit jobs where they get to coach for
25 hours. I work my 25 hours.
25 hours a week. Some of us are still working chefs.
No. But I've also tried doing paid promotions on Facebook and Instagram, and that was interesting. Like it gets it out there, you get some downloads. But in terms of like trying to find like organic, like people to actually like be fans of the show, I haven't really seen like a big uptick. The biggest uptick I've been seeing is just the more people you talk to, and having them promote the show for you, because if they have a big following. So for example, we've been talking to entrepreneurs, and so at my gym, there's a lot of them at my gym. And so I utilize that avenue to talk to them. And of course, I'm going to talk to the people that have big Instagram followings. Right. And so like just last week, we had one called from Voda Health, and she had like 2,000 followers or something like that. So I put up so we did an interview. I put it up on my Instagram. Then she put it up on her, for her followers. And then immediately we got like a ton of downloads. So, and then, like maybe 5-10% of those people will find the other content of our episode of our work to be interesting, so just have to keep hustling. You just got to keep on talking to people and trying to cross promote and be visible.
Do you keep up much with the podcast industry news?
No.
Not
really.
Not really. No.
Why? What's going on out there? Because I heard something about like iTunes, like you weren't supposed to put like the number of your episodes on the thing or something like that.
I asked the question just because like a lot of people that are very involved in podcasting kind of have this idea that everyone producing podcasts is like following the news in the industry.
Mm-mm.
And so as I talk to people, most people don't. They're
Right.
they're focused on their show. They don't.
Right.
They might hear something tangentially or whatever that word is.
Right.
Like you said about the iTunes thing, but it's not really important enough for them really to dig into it.
Right. Yeah, I just find that I don't know. I mean, I pay a lot of attention to the restaurant biz and the industry news. I guess we should be kind of paying. I don't know. Like, what do you think? Like, it's something that's really relevant out there that people that have a small podcast should be paying attention to?
Me, I think that there's
Yeah.
a couple of newsletters that I kind of like. I mean, I think it's a Pod News I've recommended before, and that's pretty good. I mean, they're daily, and I feel like maybe dailies too often. I would much rather maybe have like a weekly summary.
Yeah.
There's not that much that happens, but it's nice to kind of
Like a
know
little synopsis, right?
Yeah, it's nice to know what's going on, like with services, like which services should I put my show on, or which services don't
Right.
matter.
Right. Well, what have you found to be? I mean, like this is a brand new podcast. I noticed that. Like, how many episodes do you have out right now? Like 12, something like that.
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did you get into it? I mean, like,
well, this show is very unique, right? So I think we've got that Seattle podcast list. So I think we've got about 250 active podcasts in the kind of region. Right. And this show is really kind of intended for people who the audience is really other podcasters. So if you look at that, then maybe there's like 500 people possible listeners. So, there's not like you're going to grow the show to be very large. And with the guild, it really helps kind of gets them kind of back and forth. So like this show has kind of started to kind of help people get to know each other. So not everybody can make it to the meetings, but you can listen to the show and kind of hear other people making content in your area.
Right. Yeah, it's been fun. Like I discovered Seattle Sucks from your podcast. I thought that was pretty funny because they're on
great.
Yeah. And so I was like, I've been kind of I was kind of wondering when me and Kalen could talk to those guys. That'd be cool.
That sounds like it's right up your alley. As far as that, Davis often complains about how Seattle sucks. So.
No, they're a little bit more political based, but still, yeah.
Still, it's one of the few true blue Seattleites left that's actually born and raised here.
I know.
Well, for the most part, anyway.
Yeah, for the most part. I'm a Seattle guy.
He's a Seattle guy. O'Day.
I went to O'Day.
Yeah, there you go.
Of all Seattle schools, I went to summer school at Rainier Beach. Excuse me.
There you go.
That's as Seattle is going to get.
Yeah. Well, I'm a transplant, so I can't say nothing.
Yeah, I know. Like you should listen to episodes where you rails against bagels and.
Yeah, we don't have good bagels.
No, pizza out here. Yeah.
It is funny though when you talk to a Seattleite and you'll have those conversations. Or I will, and I've been here for like 10 years now, so I kind of have. I'll talk about something that's gone or something, and they'll like give you that. Oh, where are you from here? And you go no, and you can instantly see that Seattle mentality kick in, and they give you the little okay.
Yeah. Why don't you keep your opinions to yourself there?
Yeah, exactly. I thought you were cool for a second, but I guess not.
No.
At least I'm not from the Bay Area, though. That usually, like from the East Coast, and they're like, "Oh, okay, well, that's
right. That's okay, I guess."
Yeah.
So, do you listen to many podcasts yourself?
I do. I listen to a lot of Gary Vaynerchuk.
Like some Gary Vaynerchuk.
Man, he gets me motivated, man. I listen to it on the bus on the way in.
I listen on the bus a lot. I like a lot of, I do a fair amount of Rogan, but so does everybody. And
I'm sick of Rogan.
I mean, it depends. I'm very guest dependent on him. I kind of choose it's more who he has on because he just gets
Michael Pollan? Awesome.
Yeah, he just gets interesting people. I'm down to listen to Michael Pollan.
What's that fat fucker that they had on there? Alex Jones?
I don't listen to that one.
Listen to that, dude.
But I mean, I don't know. I just don't care. But yeah, Your Mom's House. I love me some Your Mom's House. Yeah. That shit is funny.
Yeah. My Favorite murder.
Yeah. That's good. all the NPR stuff is great. Radio Lab and Serial and all that stuff is good stuff.
Yeah. I don't know. Like I listen to a lot of fitness podcasts. I listen to the Mind Muscle Project. There are a couple dudes from Australia that talk about like the fitness industry. And it's kind of interesting because they kind of had a similar beginning. They're just two friends that had a gym out in Australia, and they fell in love with CrossFit, and they decided to just have a podcast by interviewing other CrossFitters, and they've grown it into this like global brand of media content and talking to different people in the industries and all that stuff. So I mean, that'd be great if we could kind of get to that level, but I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Who else?
So how do you think you discover most of your new podcasts?
A lot of it through just honestly listening to podcasts and then kind of stuff like this where you hear someone else from another podcast on a different one and you go, oh, I kind of like that, and check it out. And I see a lot of stuff on Instagram too, because it's like it ends up getting cross promoted too. So the Mind Muscle guys will be talking to the guys, Jason Khalipa, who's a former world CrossFit champ. Now he has a podcast, and he went out and talked to Gary Vaynerchuk and did his like 2-minute spiel with him, and then that sort of stuff. And so it kind of like it starts at like one point and then kind of just branches out to others, I found. Yeah. I browse a little bit just based on in the iTunes library.
Yeah,
I like educational stuff. I do a lot of that. Yeah, I like me some Dan Carlin and some Neil deGrasse Tyson and all that like dry education. I don't know.
I like that. Yeah, I like Tyson, but like I don't know. I just some of them I'm just like, oh my god, dude. It's putting me to sleep here. Yeah. I mean, I think that's one part of it too. Is like you got to be a little bit funny. It's a lot like being in the kitchen, like you can be super, super knowledgeable, but if you're slow and you're just not adding to the team like that, like you got to be funny.
Exactly. Yeah. Have to at least be entertaining.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think one of the things that we noticed and one of the things that we're still trying to do with ours is honestly, I wish there was more culinary podcasts to listen to that were genuine. A lot of them are just done by kind of cooks and food writers and kind of culinary adjacent people, but there's not many.
They're never by actual chefs.
No, not really. There's very few. I mean, I know David Chang started one recently, which is
it's good. I listen to David Chang,
and I know. I mean, I like what's the one with Dave Arnold? Cooking Issues is okay.
Yeah,
he's an interesting guy, but there's really just not that much that's like.
Yeah, a lot of them are like Sur La Top sponsored, blah blah blah. We're talking about mayonnaise. Awesome, or
very
like
Martha Stewart-esque.
Yeah, or they'll have like once in a while, or like there's like Heritage Radio, and it's just like I don't know, I like talking about like heirloom beets for an hour. I'm just not into it.
See, that's where you and me differ, because I actually probably would listen to a podcast about heirloom beets for an hour. I can.
Well, I mean, like imagine like taking like that subject matter, making it as dry as hell, like a classroom. Like I'm sitting in a classroom and you're talking about heirloom beets to me. Probably not that interesting.
I don't know. What kind of heirloom beets are we talking about? Are we talking about Badger Flame? What are we talking about?
Yeah, I know exactly right. Yeah. So.
Well, how can people find your show?
They can find us on Libsyn. It's under Blood and Guts Podcast. You can also Google it, Blood and Guts. But the guts, the S is a $. So BLOOD GUT or BLOODANDGUT $PODCAT or ST.
Wow.
Spelling, I'll have a link in the show notes.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Link it up. We also do.
We're on iTunes as well.
We're on iTunes. We're on Instagram. Check us out on Instagram. Check us out on Facebook. There's a Blood and Guts page, and that's about it.
Nice.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks. Nice talking to you.